you're here and know what Neopets is, I'm assuming you're probably thinking, Neopets? I thought that site was dead. And if you're here and don't know what Neopets is, buckle up because we're going on up to Grundo's Virtue Pets space station so I can tell you all about the news in space. And if you don't know what a Grundo is, I don't know how you got this far, but here you go. This is a Grundo. I don't blame people for asking what Neopets is, considering that, like my grandma, Neopets has survived multiple near-death experiences. Unlike my grandma, though, Neopets is besting the odds and standing the test of time. For now. With so many high-tech games and accessible, fast-paced mobile titles, it's no wonder that the phrase browser game doesn't exactly seem like it would spark much joy. But for a dedicated player base, a browser game is exactly what many players want. So let's dive into the newbie pack of facts. On the surface, Neopets is just a browser-based game. And believe me, there aren't many of those left anymore. So just know that a browser-based game is any game that's accessible via internet browser apps such as Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, etc. As the internet has evolved over time, browser games have turned into standalone applications, and the games I would have played on a website like Neopets as a kid have become shovelware, taking up spaces on iPhones everywhere. The site was originally launched by Adam Powell and Donna Williams in November 1999. Powell managed the programming and the database while Williams handled web design and art. Their motivation was real simple. As college kids, they were hoping to make a little side money. After they began posting it on message boards on the then much smaller internet, soon the site was doubling in users every week. You probably see this coming, but 2 years after Neopets launched, it was then bought by a team of investors led by a Scientologist. That's another book for another day, because within 4 years after that, it was then picked up by Viacom, the owners of Nickelodeon. There are a few notable things about Viacom's acquisition of Neopets. For starters, Neopets employed about 120 people in 2005. And to really illustrate what they were buying at the time for this $160 million price tag acquisition, consider what Jeff Dunn, the then president of Nickelodeon at the time, had to say about their goals. "We want to be wherever kids are, and there are plenty of kids at Neopets." See, Neopets was making serious bank off its ad revenue at a time when ad blocking technology was becoming increasingly common to the annoyance of the advertisers. Neopets accomplished this advertising quota by baking the ads into part of the gameplay and parts of the world. More on that in a bit. Because most of its money was made off of ad revenue, Dunn and the others were obviously happy to keep shoving ads into kids' faces everywhere for many years. Until Jumpstart acquired the company in 2014. Keep in mind, however, that by the time Jumpstart acquired the company in 2014, all of the children that played Neopets back in the 90s and early 2000s were now adults. And certainly weren't going to likely be playing products made by a company that specialized in edutainment, which is education that's supposed to feel like entertainment. Yeah, it's like Bible study, but like with video games and education. What's wild about this acquisition, though, is that there's a lot of signs and articles that suggest that Jumpstart may have been put out of business by this acquisition. There was a large Neopets data breach in 2013 and again in 2016 that sparked a class action lawsuit due to the gross negligence of their security systems, but I can't pinpoint the results down for certain. At present, now that Jumpstart has been dissolved by its Chinese owners NetDragon Websoft, Neopets has now gone entirely independent. Dominic Law is the new CEO, and he was an executive at former NetDragon, so they're looking to bring Neopets back to its glory days, according to the current team, but that's gonna take some work. More on that in a moment. So just know that Neopets has changed hands a few times, and was primarily valuable because they were able to place a lot of marketing deals in front of the eyes of kids everywhere. I can even remember Neopets having huge marketing deals with Cartoon Network that were awesome, where you could battle Saturday morning favorites like Dexter and Powerpuff Girls in the Battle Dome. There were cereal brand deal games that were super fun, and even various Kellogg breakfast cereals, including trading cards as bonus prizes. Neopets at one point as a franchise felt as enjoyable as Pokemon was. Hell, at one point Neopets even had a specialty mobile deal that allowed exclusive access to the mysterious land of Lutari Island and the adoption of an exclusive Neopet species of playful otter-like creatures called Lutaris. I was so bummed when I asked my parents if we could buy an access pass and they said no. This just goes to show that Neopets has had incredible marketing highs in the past. At one point, according to a Wired article from 2005, Warner Bros. Was even developing a feature Neopets film. This might be hard for some people to imagine, because on the surface, Neopets looks like a website where people just go to adopt a virtual pet and play a few Flash games. But below that surface is Maraqua. I mean, a whole lot of lore, and player-made pages. Neopets allows players to have customizable user lookups, where people can show off their pets and swag. They've got customizable pet pages where you can include all your favorite RP fetishes. Just kidding, don't do that, it'll get you banned. And even shop pages that allow you to turn your store into the hot topic you could never afford to shop at when you were in middle school. It's not a face, Mom! There's even a site newspaper called the Neopian Times that allows users to send in stories, comics, and more to earn a few hard-earned Neopoints, and more importantly, the coveted Neopian Times Golden Quill Trophy. Neopets has been a life-changing website for people like me and so many other people who have made friends and even met their spouses and had families thanks to Neopets. On the surface, it's an adopt a pet and play games website. But it's much more than that. The community and the world feel alive. There's something unique on every page of Neopets, and even as you're exploring the pages of the world, you never know what's going to happen. The random events of the site, for example, provide rare items, Neopoints, and even junk. Hey, wait a minute. Speaking of junk, people also make galleries featuring their favorite items, and some of those galleries are dedicated to literal junk. I mean, the daily items generated by the many places you can go and things you can see. A list of these daily to-do events is even available on long-standing fan websites like Jelly Neo and the Daily Neopets. Here, you can see convenient tile-like layouts of everything you can do for the day, and it's basically like quick shortcuts to many of the site's daily features. Imagine if you could transfer real-life skills from the latest VR surgery game you played. Okay, maybe not, but if Pokemon could better my second grade reading skills, it's not too far outside the realm of possibility to see how Neopets taught people real-world coding skills, social skills, and even some basic inventory shop management skills in the past. The game, to its benefit or its detriment, I'll let you decide, has an ever-changing capitalist economy based on actual supply and demand of virtual items. It has an in-game stock system and more. As a Neopets player, it's pretty cool to reflect on the fact that people have become web programmers, artists, and maybe even economic experts after getting a start in the world of Neopia. Rarely does a game have so many skills that can realistically transfer outside the realm of play and into the world of expertise, like into the world of the real, but Neopets has been an exception to that rule. So how does a site about virtual creatures and Flash games that used to make the Irish share of their money off ad exposure to kids manage to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. By creating an endearing world. The world itself really motivated players. If there's one unique thing I can say about being in the Neopets community, it's that the people are truly the heart of Neopets. One of the primary reasons that Neopets has continued to survive long after its initial peak marketing heyday is because there are people who are still dedicated to logging on to deal with the lack of updates and panache so they could keep feeding Pikachu Thunderbolt 7 and buy her the most expensive contact capsules in the Neocash Mall. They see me rolling, they hating. Without leadership that gives to the community, however, or an influx of new or returning players, this decade lacking in dedication will be hard to make up for. Even the most dedicated players will lose their patience eventually and spend their money and time on a game that provides even the most meager of updates, which Neopets hasn't done in a long time. That's not to say there's not money to be made here with the company, in my opinion, but it's not in the playable ad model that Neopets was famous for in 2005 in terms of Viacom wanting the Neopets ad model. See, at the time, adblock and many other forms of ad blocking technology were becoming more prevalent, so Neopets managed to bake in the ads, like having the Cartoon Network characters in the Battle Dome, or being able to offer a few Neo points to watch a Trick cereal or yogurt ad for a few hundred Neo points. Admittedly, it was a unique approach to advertisement at the time. This is what made Neopets worth $160 million in 2005. This alone is what made the site so valuable. The fact that there were kids there eating up these ads generated revenue, and while these brands loved us as children, they've since abandoned us. The children have all grown up and have had kids of their own, and despite the fact that the adult players are now likely a more lucrative source of money, if the marketing team knew how to play their cards, unfortunately, the Neopets team is sitting there looking like the many starving sad pets on their website. So yeah, Neopets has had its ups and downs, but going forward, there are a few things I think that could make Neopets more viable as a modern-day franchise. Lucrative, even. It's crazy to me that the advertisers all wanted their hands in the proverbial Neopets pie when we were young, but now that we've all grown up and had families of our own, they want nothing to do with us. What is up with that? The average Neopets player is an adult woman between 25 and 45. I cannot believe that under any leadership, Neopets didn't zero in on this fact, especially given that the average mobile game player is also usually a woman on her phone. What's fascinating about this is that Neopets to date, under all forms of leadership, have not made an app outside of standalone attempts that have attempted to funnel revenue back into their aging website. If the average Neopets player is an adult woman between 25 and 45 on her phone, why is Neopets not in the mobile market on my phone? Every iteration of leadership, the Neopets team never really seemed to figure out how to navigate the world of Neopia into the mobile market, whether it was under the ownership of Nickelodeon Viacom or even Jumpstart. I had a lot of hope when Jumpstart bought Neopets because I felt like if there was one company that knew how to make fun, interactive gaming experiences, my childhood experiences taught me it was Jumpstart. Well, now they've unfortunately gone under and out of business, so this really is starting to feel like the last Hail Mary for Neopets as a franchise, and I'm putting this out there because I would like to see them get it right. I know what the difficulty is. It's in translating a browser game experience to a mobile app in a way that doesn't alienate the current player base that is keeping the lights on. People like me. Yet still invites new players, the middle schoolers down the street. I don't think that's possible. Neopets needs to cater and grow its market of women who are as dedicated to her Kugura as she is to her children. By trying to cater to both, Neopets will continue to see failure, just like they did when they tried to cater to the tech bro NFT-loving crowd that, again, couldn't be further in terms of preferences of the women that are already there and at the core and heart of Neopia keeping it afloat. It isn't enough to just make a fun Neopets mobile title and expect that to be your cash cow, Neopets. We need to start with a direct introduction to the world of Neopia. Give us a chance to do our dailies from a mobile tile layout and an in-portal way to shop in exclusive shops like Nintendo does with their Splatoon franchise. The Splatoon store in the Nintendo app sells exclusive items for purchase from the mobile store using in-game currency. And these are just a few of the ideas I have to make the transition to mobile a little easier. Again, the average Neopets player is typically a woman between 25 and 40. We have money we are willing to spend, but the NC Mall isn't available in a very mobile format friendly way. And most women are not PC gamers like I am. Most women aren't going to be using their NVIDIA RTX 3080 to play Neopets Flash games. So, on behalf of this increasingly mobile and increasingly monetizable audience, please get it together and start rolling out some mobile basics to coincide with and not replace the website experience that so many of us already know and love. Neopets has been lovingly built up from the ground, brick by giving players a chance to contribute to the world and the lore via shop personalization, player pages, and more. Imagine if a whole new generation of players, and even older players too, could have a chance to learn how to code their own mobile Neopets shop. Consider giving players an incentive to make their own player profiles a mobile layout via coding. Consider giving players an incentive to create their own player profiles with a mobile layout via coding. Give us the bricks to work with so that maybe you don't have to do all the massive conversions with a skeleton team. We built Neopia! Give us the bricks and tools and mortar to do it again, and I'm sure you'll come to find that this community is no laughing matter when it comes to customization and creativity. There's a reason people think Neopets is dead, and that's because it's been confined to a browser experience and trying to swim against the technological tide in terms of using a mobile game to attempt to funnel people to an aging, convoluted browser experience. The potential Neopets app I'm talking about doesn't have to cater to new people if it can start with what it has and work outwards. I played the Island Builders app, and while it was nice and satisfying to build the island back up, it wasn't going to put food in the mouth of Pikachu Thunderbolt 7. And do you want to continue to starve Pikachu Thunderbolt 7? No! I would give the world for Pikachu Thunderbolt 7. Please, Neopets! I would love to keep giving you guys money, but at this point, I can't even leave y'all nothing in the will. I might outlive you. I don't know if you're gonna be here in 10 years. So these are just a few of the ideas I have for Neopets going forward. Most importantly, and most immediately, a transition of some kind to begin bridging the website and the mobile app through a special understanding of what your player base needs is the first major step. I know that if you take care of your player base, Neopets, we will take care of you. On that note, if you enjoyed this video, let me know if you've ever played Neopets, and if you have, please stop by my shop and buy my spooky food to continue to support Pikachu Thunderbolt 7. Hope to see you guys in Neopia on the App Store soon, no less. I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so drop by and talk to me about Neopets anytime. Hope to see you there. Peace!